Relations between Russian President Vladimir Putin and President Barack Obama are pragmatic, according to Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. In an exclusive interview with our Ryan Chilcote and Henry Meyer, here's what Lavrov said today.
President Putin from time to time talks to President Obama over the phone. They are very pragmatic. They discuss specific areas of cooperation where both countries could benefit. And we do the same with John Kerry on a much more detailed level. I wouldn't call it in your reset, I would call it the realization of the need for normalcy.
For more on Lavrov's remarks, Bloomberg's Henry Meyer is with us from Moscow. Henry, what does he mean? How do you decode a word like pragmatic?
Well, I think that this very much reflects the Russian belief that they can work with the U.S. on specific issues. Of course, the overall relationship remains very strained, but for example, on efforts to combat Islamic State, on the negotiations surrounding the Iranian nuclear program, there are areas of common interest. And for Russia, this is a very important element of its foreign policy. It wants to be taken seriously by the U.S. And I think today what was interesting for me was how Lavrov was very moderate in his tone. He's often a very acerbic and a tough interlocutor, but here he really put out the message that Russia and the US are managing on certain issues to improve their relationship.
Where else do they have common interests beyond ISIS?
Well, I mean, as I mentioned, there are the talks on Iran's nuclear program. Terrorism in general is a threat, and you know, they of course want to get back into the G7, which used to be the G8. They feel they have things they can contribute in terms of the world economy, but primarily it really is anti-terrorism. I would say this is the #1 issue for the US and Russia today.
Well, one issue, Henry, I don't need to tell you, that has captivated the world's attention, the attention of Americans included, who aren't known as the world's most passionate soccer fans for the most part, is the FIFA scandal. And I was fascinated to see what Lavrov had to say there. We're going to play it for our audience right now.
He said he couldn't know, about these accusations, and whether they are true or not, it's up to the investigation and the court to decide. But what he did say was the timing of this show was certainly scheduled the way to derail the electoral process in FIFA. And I don't think that anyone thinks of targeting the World Cup in Russia now.
So, Henry, I suppose it shouldn't surprise anybody that Sergei Lavrov doesn't think that this scandal is going to cause the next World Cup from not being played in Russia as scheduled in 2018. What did you read from the way he responded to those questions about the corruption scandal?
He was very defiant. He said that there was absolutely no evidence of any wrongdoing by Russia. As we know, there's a Swiss investigation into the way in which the bids by Qatar and Russia were handled. He also said that Russia stands 100% by Sepp Blatter. And I think that basically that's what Russia is counting on, that despite this scandal, that Blatter is firmly in place, and he's a known advocate of holding the games in Russia. But certainly Russia sees the hand of the US in this. While they won't comment on the actual accusations, they said that the timing of the arrest, which took place just before Blatter's re-election, was an indication that it was aimed against him.
Well, just goes to show how there's anything but unanimity in the views around Sepp Blatter and the FIFA scandal. Bloomberg's Henry Meyer with us from Moscow this morning. Henry, thank you.